Hello, this is another update on the restoration of Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe 769. Now today we're not actually at the locomotive. Today we're actually at where the locomotive might run in the future, the Santa Fe Southern. And so today we're picking out a tool car to, well, of course, use behind 769 when she's up and running. And our main candidate is this old caboose from the Santa Fe Southern. From all the cars that we've inspected, this is the greatest that's in shape, either on the interior and exterior. And so this caboose is our main, well, candidate for being our tool car. And also, speaking of being on the Santa Fe Southern, that's where we are right now. We're at Lamy Station. And right now we're just making sure that most of the cars themselves are suitable for 769's performance. And also we now have contact information with the manager of Lamy, and so most likely we might get in contact with George R. Martin soon to see if we could get some support on the whole restoration of the old girl. And once George Martin knows about the locomotive, we'll be even more. We'll open up the throttle, as they say. So we have one of the coaches right here. This is where they would sell their merchandise. It's a luggage car, originally anyway. And, well, instead of storing luggage in this area, they actually would sell merchandise. And on the other side, they would feed people. But this right here is our second candidate for our tool car, which is a luggage car, but it seems a little bit big. And quite frankly, it's not in as good as shape as the caboose we saw earlier. Quite frankly, it could use quite a lot more work than the caboose, especially since it's a lot bigger, of course. Now over here, we have our third candidate for our tool car, which is another caboose. This one in particular, well, it's a lot smaller than the caboose that we actually saw earlier, the very first one anyway, but this one has also been mistreated quite a lot more. And quite frankly, this caboose, well, it's a lot more classic, but the other one just seems more right for 769 to run with. But also we have probably 769's assistant locomotive, since most likely she won't be able to run without a diesel for dynamic braking. This right here will be her assistance. But right now, during this whole pandemic, this locomotive is out of service because I'm not entirely sure, but all I know is that something is broken in on it and it needs to be completely replaced. So most likely, if we get funds to repair this engine, we can repair 769. And well, here's down here we actually have Lamy, the rail station, which is most likely going to be the home of 769. Well, one of the three places that she'll visit on her excursions. The three places being here, Madrid, and then to Santa Fe. Which actually reminds me to say that most likely due to, well, financial issues, we're most likely going to have to convert the locomotive to burn oil. So right now, down to Lamy. So as you guys already know, George R. Martin has bought the place and is hoping to redevelop it. Not entirely redevelop it, but to rebuild most of it. As you can see, cracks in the wall. Everything's looking pretty run down. But those are the greatest areas. Are in pretty good condition. In fact, employees are still here today. That's how I was able to get in contact with the manager. And if we go down here, we'll see the main Southern Railway coaches. These are the actual coaches being used for the Southern Railway. The other coach is just for merchandising and such. This one is the main one you would sit in. Right now, it has recently been inspected and is in pretty good condition and still rolls freely. So this coach is going to be particularly our first step to get looking good for the public. And then we have this coach. This coach, it may not look like one at all, but it is an open coach. What you do is you put seats in the actual thing, and well, you just look out the side. This one most likely doesn't need that much work besides wood and repainting. Maybe some oiling needs to be done, but that's about it. And well, that was the July update for Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe 769. And hopefully, with the help of George R. Martin, we can get the locomotive running again, and the railroad that she works for running again. Along with not only the people who are supporting the locomotive, but the people who are actually working on her. Speaking of which, now that we've had a thorough inspection of the boiler, things are looking full steam ahead. And the boiler is looking good inside and out. Well, not out, but on the inside she's looking really good. So, once the 769 is actually returned to operating condition, most likely we actually might move another orphaned locomotive from an area, which I have announced on Facebook if you've seen it. But also, with the help of the people at the New Mexico Steam Locomotive and Railroad Historical Society, we have been able to get the locomotive thoroughly inspected. Even though the locomotive was somehow a foot deep in the dirt, they were somehow able to make a complete evaluation, and the locomotive most likely will be running by 2040.